What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the DX Gamer Show. My name is Mike, aka Operation DX, and wow, we've made it to episode 15. I think in my .22 series, I had already completed the tech tree by this time, so I was just kind of like doing some extra things to extend the series. Alright, so I have to apologize a little bit because I am probably going to get a little bit ranty in this episode, because I kind of stumbled across some things that I probably shouldn't have looked at, but sometimes you just can't help yourself, okay? So I'll get to that in a second. Anyways, upgrading the Science Center, and we were in the dark again, so I went ahead and sped up time, so we're back in the morning again. So originally, my plan was to get the LVN. That was, of course, until I discovered that Squad nerfed the living crap out of this engine. Out of all the engines, this one has really gotten the worst of it, and it just makes me want to do what you're seeing on screen here. Increase the thrust, increase the impulse. Of course, I'm not going to do this because it's stock series, but it makes me feel better. So I'm inside the file, I'm changing the impulse, and man, look at key 2, man. This thing produces no thrust in the atmosphere whatsoever. That's what key 2 means. Key 1 means mid-atmosphere, and key 0 means in space. So yeah, really kind of like upset about that engine, so I decided I'm gonna go in a different direction. So here I'm unlocking a couple of things to get some science packages so that I can get some more research. So finally I'm gonna have rover wheels too. That's part of this package here, kind of like in the science tier. Unfortunately, that means that I'm not going to be doing anything super interesting during this episode as far as going somewhere new. But anyways, I'm directly going to be going for the resource system. That's what has my interest peaked at this moment. Because after I discovered the whole LVN thing, and I shouldn't have done it, I shouldn't have looked the information up, because it really just made me angry. And I'll talk a little bit more about it later in the episode. But essentially, what's going to happen here is we're heading back to the moon. Why would I do that? Why would I be heading back to the moon? Well, there is a lot of science to be had on the moon that I didn't realize. I didn't realize like every single crater is a different biome on the moon. So I can get probably more science than I did with the Duna mission, which is a little bit sad. But I didn't really send a Kerbal there, so I probably could have gotten more science if I could have done a return mission, that sort of thing. Also, I'm going to have to go ahead and apologize because we are once again watching this same design launch up into orbit, and we've seen it quite a few times in this series, so I do apologize. I will be designing a new craft specifically for refueling purposes once I unlock the ISRU stuff and drilling stuff and scanning and all that. I'm really looking forward to that. And I have unlocked some bigger engines that makes it a little easier to get into orbit, but they are expensive. And that's again why I'm upset about the LVN engine, because it used to be that engine that just could, I don't know, like I said, it can get you anywhere. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Okay, so some of you may say, all you need to do is go over to Scott Manley's YouTube and watch his video on the LVN engine. That explains everything. Well, I'm sorry. I simply don't agree with Scott on this one. You should have seen the craft that I took to Joule in .22. It wasn't until recently they did all this crazy nerfing to the engines and stuff. Now, some of it makes sense for the aerodynamic model and all of that. I totally get that. But the thing of it is I really feel that there needs to be more reward later on in the tech tree as far as the engines go. I mean, better impulse, better thrust output, better. That way, you feel like you're making progress. This is not happening in this version of Kerbal Space Program. So, you know, when you get to the LVN engine, I remember how it used to be. I love the engine, you know, spectacular. But now, it is only good for very large craft. If you put it on smaller craft, it is essentially useless. The LV909 is like far superior. Yeah, sure, they changed the fact that it doesn't consume oxidizer anymore, but now it seems like it consumes fuel just much faster than it did before too. So looking at the file, sure, the impulse is still 8,000. However, it's only consuming one resource, which means it's eating the resource a lot faster. So I don't know. It just kind of, I think it just kind of pulls the fun out of the game a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I'm still having a ton of fun with this, and like I can't wait to get to the resource stuff, and I am looking forward to doing all that. I'm going in a different direction because despite of what they did to the LVN engine, I'm going to start trying to design reusable craft and that sort of thing. But here's my main like thing. There has been people playing this game for a very long time, and I think that you tend to start to get like these Kerbal elitists, and it happens with a lot of games that I've seen, and they start complaining to the developers that the game is too easy. And some of these people are directly involved in the media teams, and like they have direct links or lines to the developers, which has a considerable amount of influence, whether it be like monitors or whoever. And, you know, the developers, of course, listen to this. I mean, I've read a ton of forums talking about like how, oh, that's just too easy. Oh, you need to do that, whatever. And I usually just stay out of it because, you know, I have this opinion that like I want the game to be fun. You know, I like challenge. Challenge is great and everything, but, you know, you don't need to like make it just too ridiculous. I mean, realistic is cool and, you know, whatever. I like that. But I just feel like, you know, if you have engines that start to push into the realm of like science fiction, okay, maybe give a little. It's a game, you know. It's like, I don't know. The thing of it is like, I fear that like, you know, you get a new player and they get to this point and they unlock these things and they're like, man, this is, where's the reward, you know, kind of thing. Now, there is a lot of rewarding things on the tech tree. There's a lot of really cool things, the new parts, like the power system and all that. It's good. It's not like huge, you know, like the new solar panels or the, there's some things I haven't seen, like the fuel cells. I haven't tested those, and I haven't played around with the ISRU thing, but the ISRU thing looks very similar to an old mod I used to play. So, you know, I'm just curious how that whole thing works. I'm very interested. So, like, that's why I'm directly going for it. Okay, so before some of you just really get upset with me for some of the things I've said during this episode, remember that I'm just a YouTube guy, okay? And I just have opinions about things. And sometimes I have strong opinions, and I like to let you know what I'm thinking while I'm doing certain things. And that's what I'm doing during this episode. And I do apologize that a majority of this episode is a little bit ranty. You know, this is meant to be a fun series and that kind of thing. Kind of helps to shift the focus off of what I'm doing, because I'm doing a very similar thing that I've done earlier. So I guess I can, you know, go off topic and talk about some of the things and how I'm feeling while I'm playing the series. Now, overall, again, tons of fun. I'm having tons of fun with the series, and again, looking forward to certain things. But shifted direction there, and yeah, I probably will unlock the LVN engine, but I'm probably not going to use it for any reason. I mean, because, you know, I'll just go with really expensive rockets and that kind of thing, or just still stick with the LV909, which is like a lightweight and pretty much just as efficient for smaller craft. For bigger craft, I don't know. I'm sure I'll come up with some interesting designs, that kind of thing. But it changes like the dynamic. I mean, of course, you know, and another thing too is I didn't want to do like the same exact thing I did in 0.22 either, like the same series. You know, I don't want to build the same exact craft. You know, because, I don't know, even though it was kind of a cool craft, and it did, like, a superb job of getting a crap ton of science. In fact, I think that's why the series ended really early, is because of that particular craft, because I got just so much science when I went around Joule and that sort of thing. But still, that doesn't take away from my point. Anyways. Let's get off this and back to what's going on here in the video, because actually this part is kind of interesting. So I actually ran out of fuel, completely out of fuel and I couldn't get my craft back to a you know, where it was dipping down to aerobrake into Kerbin's atmosphere. So I had to pull a this is again kind of like a Scott Manley maneuver here, where I'm using my RCS with my Kerbal to drop so that I can actually get back into the atmosphere. So I'm just trying to like push the craft to where, you know, it's about 32,000 meters, and I'm just switching between the map and that kind of thing. But I got a little too greedy here. I thought I had enough fuel in my craft to go to 2 different biomes and collect science. I pretty much went to 2 different locations that were pretty far apart and ended up running out of fuel. But I kind of knew that, like, okay, I can probably use my Kerbal's RCS and push it, because I was really, really close. I was like 200,000 meters from the surface of Kerbin. So, yeah, this was kind of a fun thing to do. And it all kind of it's all kinds of crazy. You really shouldn't be able to do this though, because I think that when you go back in your pod, it should consume some of that monopropellant that is stock inside of the pod there, and yeah, it doesn't. You get pretty much free monopropellant every time. And then here you saw kind of a bug. So, you know, sometimes like I'll hit the time acceleration and it goes a little too fast, right? And so I totally missed the approach, and it just passed it up, and I didn't take any damage. My solar panels didn't get damaged or anything, even though I dipped down into 32,000. I sped up time, came back around. So technically, like, things should have gone catastrophically wrong, or the game should have like slowed down time like it normally does when you get about 60,000 meters above the surface. Anyway, this approach kind of scared me, because like I was really redlining on some of the heat indicators, like really, really badly. The solar panels were doing it, but it kind of makes sense because they're sticking out. Like the lights, for some reason, aren't doing that, but the solar panels were doing it. And I kept hearing these like random explosions in the background. I think it was the engine component, but I kept hearing it, and I kept checking my craft. Did something blow up? Did something blow up? And looks like it's mostly intact. Something that's kind of interesting too is the heat doesn't seem to go away when you're back inside of the atmosphere, but it did when I was flying around my planes in earlier episodes. So maybe this is where those heat thingy-mabobbers come into play, and I can start applying them to my craft and that sort of thing. Anyways, so yeah, dude, got tons of science on this mission. Actually surprised, I didn't realize. And there's tons more I could go get. So I have over 1,000 science. That's plenty to start unlocking the ISRU stuff. And my scientist got some more experience, but didn't level up. So still kind of thinking about putting them in that mobile processing unit. But anyways, sorry about the rant. That pretty much wraps this one up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.